start in 30 seconds, 30 seconds. All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We apologize for starting a few minutes late. We had a busy closed session. We are welcoming everybody to the December 15th, 2025 meeting of the Merced City Council. We're going to begin with our call to order. Pastor Dorman is going to lead us in prayer with an invocation. And after that, I'm going to ask Mr. Muatow sitting there to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, if you could, sir. Could you? You can't bring 20 people and not lead.
Let us pray. Our Father in heaven, we thank you for the day that you have made. We thank you for this country, state, county, and city that we live in. We thank you most of all for the people that surround us every single day. People that maybe we don't know by first name or even last name, but fellow residents of our great city, and we're so grateful for them. We thank you for law enforcement and those who watch out for our safety. We thank you for the fire and rescue teams that, again, keep us safe at a time of year when our trees get dry and sometimes we get a little careless. We thank you also for our city government and what they do to better our city. We pray your blessings on them for their wisdom. We pray for our state, our country, and we also pray especially for the Jewish community as they continue to mourn the events that happened in Sydney, Australia. We pray for the events tonight at City Council. May you bless them. May you guide our words and actions. In the name of Jesus, my Savior, I pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sorry, I'll take the blame for that one. It's my fault.
Agenda item D, roll call. Councilmember DuPont.
Present.
Harris.
Present.
Smith.
Present.
Zhang. Mayor Pro Tem Boyle.
Here.
And Mayor Serrato.
Here.
Mayor, I'd like to remind the audience that if they wish to address the City Council, they must submit a green request to speak form located at the podium in the back of the chamber. Additionally, citizens can submit public comment to the City Council electronically no later than 1 p.m. on the day of the meeting. Comments received before the deadline will be sent to the City Council and will be part of the record and will be mentioned as part of the written petitions and communications portion of the agenda, and they will also be posted on the city's website. Material may be emailed to cityclerk@cityofmerced.gov, and any correspondence received after 1 p.m. will be distributed to the City Council and retained for the official record. Also, for those audience members who wish to hear the council meeting translated into Spanish or Hmong, please let our interpreters know.
Good evening. Buenas noches. Me llamo Mirna Zárate. Si ocupan mi ayuda para interpretar en español, voy a estar aquí sentada. Muchas gracias.
Nhớ rằng cụ tôi tạo công hồ lộc về mỹ tua cụ tôi xài lụm mông rồi nên mà nó cho nên từ xã tàu lúc trong sĩ thảm mà nó xài lụm mông nó diễn trí cụ rồi bên nó của xài lụm mông rồi này ở trong đó.
In accordance with Government Code 54952.3, it is hereby announced that the City Council sits either simultaneously or serially as a Public Financing and Economic Development Authority, Parking Authority, and/or successor agency to the Redevelopment Agency. City Council members receive a monthly stipend of $500 by charter for sitting as a City Council, and the Mayor receives an additional $100 each month as part of the adopted budget and Resolution 2024-78. The Public Financing and Economic Development Authority, Parking Authority, and successor agency to the Redevelopment Agency receive no compensation. Agenda item E, report out of closed session.
There is no report out of closed session.
Agenda item F, ceremonial matters. F1, oath of office pursuant to the City of Merced Charter, Section 612, for the newly appointed City Council District 2 member.
Thank you, Jennifer. All right, we'll invite Councilmember Tao up into the well, and we'll turn the microphone over reluctantly to our city clerk.
you want to. Okay, go ahead and raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name,
I, Yang Pao Tao,
solemnly swear
solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
foreign and domestic,
foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith
that I will bear true faith
and allegiance
and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of
and the
California,
Constitution of the States of California,
that I take this obligation
that I
freely
take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
that I will well
that I will
and faithfully
and faithfully
discharge the duties
discharge the duty
upon which I'm about to enter.
upon I'm about to enter.
Congratulations.
I wasn't prepared. check. Okay. But first of all, it's an honor to be here, especially the city of Merced here. You know, growing up, you know, I remember with my family, we came to the United States here. We live in District 2, and you know, within a year, my dad passed away, and you know, it's sad, but you know, my mom, she's a champion, you know, because she didn't speak English. You know, she don't know how to drive, but she raised me and all my siblings in the District 2. And growing up, you know, I always want to give back to my district. And it's just, you know, after college, I came back and lived in District 2. You know, it was finally the time to give back to my district. And it's an honor for me to come here and, you know, serve in the Planning Commission and now as a city council to represent my district. So other than that, I wanted to thank my whole family here for being here and all my relatives, my brothers and nieces and nephews and everybody who supported me throughout my whole journey here, especially my mom who's been very patient with me, you know, and my wife and my son too. So thank you so much for my family for being here tonight, and I look forward to working with, you know, the council here and, you know, the staff and move the Merced City forward to a better and improve it. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Councilmember. All right. And I think the first lesson to learn, and you already learned half of it, about to learn another half, is you got to do whatever the Jennifers tell you to do, and that is the #1 secret to success. Promise not to photobomb it. Too late.
Who's your mom? I knew it. I was like, I think it's the mom. Are you, is there someone out there you're waiting for? Okay. Okay, thank you very much.
All right, thank you all for being here and supporting Councilmember Tao, even you, Coop. And good to see everybody. Yeah. right, you guys are welcome to stay. We're going to get an update from our UC Merced Chancellor right now.
First, we need to do an official roll call with our new council member. So agenda item G, roll call. Councilmember DuPont,
Present.
Tao,
Present.
Harris,
Present.
Smith,
Present.
Zhang, Mayor Pro Tem Boyle,
Here.
and Mayor Serrato.
Present.
Okay. Now, agenda item H, special presentations. H1, UC Merced update from Chancellor Juan Munoz.
Thank you, Jennifer. All right, Chancellor Munoz.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. And I think we're going to queue up, I was told I had very limited hour 40 minutes, so I'm going to be more concise than I usually am. Just a moment of privilege. Congratulations, Councilman Tao. What a blessing to see all of you come and support. What a magnificent congratulations, and congratulations to our city. We're ready? Coy? Okay, terrific. So good evening, everyone. Mayor Serrato, council members, new council members, community members. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you this evening. It's a privilege to share an update on UC Merced as we celebrate a major milestone you see on the screen, our 20th anniversary, and reflect on the growth, the recognition, and the deep partnership we share with the city and the community of Merced. Let's begin with a moment of reflection. September 2005, in the image. The first cohort of 872, that was the first population of students, combination of undergrads, graduates, and transfer students that came to UC Merced, a brand new campus on the corner of Lake and Bellevue. This moment was the result of a bold vision and a powerful commitment from this community, a commitment to invest in the future, to bring world-class education to the heart of the Central Valley, and to create an opportunity only a UC campus can generate where it was most needed. And I think I'll share with you a few statistics where hopefully you'll be convinced that we have in fact done that. Next slide, please. Incidentally, go back. That really happened. That's a stagecoach. Those are actual horses. And that's the first group of 872 students, what we call the bridge crossing. And we've done it every year since the first. Next slide. 20 years later, this is the campus. That's not AI generated. That's actually the university. 20 years later, that vision has not only been realized, it's been profoundly exceeded. Earlier this fall, U.S. News & World Report ranked UC Merced among the top 25 universities in the nation and 57th among all. Top 25 all public universities across the country, 57th all public and private universities across the country. From not existing to be one of the top public institutions in the country in just 2 decades is quite frankly, and here in Merced, without precedent. It's without precedent. And this was only, and that wasn't the only recognition. So of course, we're recognized among the best universities in the country, public and private. But in September this year, the Wall Street Journal released its annual rankings. The Wall Street Journal, which you often don't see them writing about this part of California and this part of the country, placing UC Merced third among public universities nationwide, behind only Berkeley and UC Davis. And not just in California, that's across the entire country. The Journal also ranked us 14th overall, the Wall Street Journal, with a methodology that emphasizes student outcome, learning environments, and diversity. And last year, I will remind you and the council that UC Merced ranked #1 in the Wall Street Journal, #1 in social mobility. And so I tell you, I was in Chicago, in New York, in Washington, and people were coming up and saying, that's incredible what's happening at Merced in terms of social mobility. These rankings reflect our core values of access, excellence, and impact, but our impact goes further than just rankings. Let me talk to you a little bit about our economic impact. We talk about community and what this institution does to transform the community into one of distributed, shared prosperity. Soon to be released a study, we'll release it in January, we commissioned it this year by Beacon Economics, affirms that UC Merced is a powerful engine of economic and social advancement. According to this study, our annual economic impact in Merced County and Merced is just now over $1 billion annually. $1 billion annually, and across the state, $1.4 billion statewide. Compare this to last year, or the last time that we did this study when I first arrived in 2020. Our annual economic impact in 2020, just 5 years ago, was just over 500 million for the whole San Joaquin Valley. So we're comparing our impact now, and we've doubled this figure in just 5 years and doubled it here in Merced and Merced County. Let me put that into perspective. UC Merced, this campus on Lake and Bellevue, supports 1 in every 15 jobs in Merced County. We support over 8,600 jobs across California. It's not in my script. We have $500 million going up in construction right now. For every person directly employed by UC Merced, nearly 1 additional job is supported through supply chain and household spending in Merced County alone. We generate $466 million in local labor income, solidifying our role as one of, if not, the largest catalyst for economic growth in the country, in the county. And this is here. There are only 9. I was always going like this. There are only, well, how many? I was thinking 5th grade, right? There's only 9 of these campuses. UC San Francisco and Parnassus is the medical school. There's only 9 in California, and 1 is here on Lake and Bellevue. Our research engine is also growing rapidly, generating 158 million in statewide output and supporting more than 700 jobs. We are a national Research One institution. Every research dollar we spend doubles in economic activity. And this study confirms what many of you already know, what the mayor and I talk about very frequently, that UC Merced is not just physically present in the valley, we are driving economic activity, creating jobs and expanding opportunity. And this was one of the reasons for putting this UC in a part of the state that did not have one of these campuses. So now let me talk about our students. This fall, we welcomed 2,000 first-year students and transfer students at a memorably rain-soaked Scholar Bridge. In 20 years, it hadn't rained when we did that bridge crossing. This year, it rained, and it just didn't sprinkle. We were there, and we were drenched. So we never complain about moisture and precipitation in the valley, so it was a good day. I had the honor of welcoming these students to a campus of about 9,000 students. More than 95% of our students are California residents, and significantly the percentage of students from the Central Valley. This fall, we had the largest percentage from the valley of our freshman class, of our entering class. About 40% from the valley are entering class, which means more kids are coming from the valley. 62% are first in their family to go to college, and just over 60% are Pell eligible, which means that they come from families and households of exceptional financial need. These numbers speak to our mission, though, of access, opportunity, and impact, and they speak to the promise we are fulfilling, we hope, for families across the region. We minimize cost. UC Merced is very affordable. Something like 83% of our students pay nothing for fees and tuition. And I'm astounded at how few people realize that. The majority of students across the UC receive significant financial aid. And we've got to get that message out, because the return on investment of this education is life-altering. More young people need to hear that from us, from all of you, from the city. We minimize cost to students through generous financial aid. We enroll and graduate UC leading percentages of students from lower income. Lower income students do very, very well at UC Merced, and we provide students with opportunities to learn, to engage in research, and to prepare for productive careers. We have young people at SpaceX, Microsoft, Google. We have young people all over Silicon Valley. We have doctors, we have dentists. It's an extraordinary education right here on Lake and Bellevue. This year we were Carnegie 1, which makes us one of only a very few, 7% of universities in the country are R1. But not just that, we're R1, but we're also that 21 number. There are only 21 research university institutions that do as well as we do with students that come from the economic background of our student. There's only 21 out of over 5,000 colleges and universities, and there are only 3 in California, and UC Merced is one of them. Next. We are deepening our partnerships with this MAP program, which is the Merced Automatic Admission Program, or MAP, which helps prepare students for college and connect them to UC Merced early in their academic journey. When local high school students complete this program, if your sons or daughters are at El Capitan, Buac, Livingston, if they're at Merced College, and they complete this MAP program, they get automatically admitted and the $12,000 scholarship. This is part of our MAP promise to bring more young people and keep them. I hope, am I seeing you nod your head? Okay, all right, wonderful, okay. As you may know, each spring, we're visited by thousands of prospective students on campus. We call it Bobcat Day. And I'd like to personally invite the city council and members of the community to come out and see all these thousands of families from Southern California, from the Inland Empire, from Northern California. Let them come and see how excited they are to become part of this community for the time that they're on our campus. And so this year, it'll be on Saturday, April the 18th. Come on campus and you will be stunned by the families that want to make this their home for the next 4, 5, sometimes 6 years. Okay, we want it less than 6. Every parent wants it less than 6 years. We also have the Merced Promise Partnership, which is our commitment to local community college students to provide a streamlined transfer process to earn their bachelor's degree. And some of you were on our campus. We should have made more of an effort to invite more of you for the beam signing for the Promise Housing dorm. It's a 488 dorm that we're constructing right now for transfer students to begin at Merced College or Modesto College or Madera College and finish at UC Merced. Construction for this project is well underway, and we expect it to be finished by fall of 2027. Speaking of construction on campus, I'll just end with just a few things that are happening, and they're happening just down the street right here on Lake and Bellevue. Okay, we just completed here on the top, the bottom right, the FERC. This is a Field Education Research Center. It's out in the reserves. We're going to have students come out, learn about the flora, the fauna, learn about climate sustainability, and have classes and bring kids and get them excited about the science necessary for climate and sustainability, but also related to different areas of engineering. And eventually, we hope to build adjacent to it an observatory to talk about the stars. And to the left, you'll see bottom left, the Medical Education Building. That is a $300 million facility going up right now that will help train doctors, nurses, pharmacists, and will be the cornerstone of a medical school here in Merced, at UC Merced, where you don't have to go up north 2 hours or down south 4.5 hours for life-changing medical care of the highest caliber. And then, of course, we have a new classroom building up on the top left that we're going to construct, and then the Promise Housing facility. Next slide. And then, of course, some of you may have heard that this year we joined the NCAA. When I arrived, the school was NAIA, which is not in the NCAA. You have NCAA, NAIA, AA 3, 2, 1. 1 is very, very expensive, and you have NIL and a lot of other things happening. Division 2 is a student, scholar, athletes, and we're very excited to join this conference. We'll be playing Stan State, we'll be playing Cal State LA, we'll be playing San Francisco State and others. And I want to make a personal appeal to the city council, to all of those in uniform, fire, police, want to come out and think about supporting our Bobcats. The admission is I think free, so the bar is quite low, but we've got great kids and we've got great athletes, and these are going to be engineers, and they're going to be chemists, and they're going to be biologists, and they're going to compete at a very high level on our campus, and I hope that you'll consider coming out to support them. So finally, so in closing, let me just say a thank you to the City Council and the broader Merced community. I should have delivered this address some time ago, so I appreciate your patience and your indulgence. We have an extraordinary facility, extraordinary engine of social change, prosperity, and mobility right here in our community. And it is a treasure that doesn't exist but 8 other places in the state of California. And it's only going to get bigger. It's only going to be more competitive, and it's only going to bring greater prosperity and a benefit to our community. And I want all of you and your families to be a part of it. And so I want to thank you for your continued partnership and support. UC Merced was built with your vision. I wasn't here. Kids from our school sent cards saying, bring it here, bring it here. We competed with Madera, we competed with Fresno, and it was the spirit of Merced that prevailed and had it placed here. So UC Merced was built with your vision, and it continues to thrive because of your commitment. Together, we are shaping a future that is bold, inclusive, and full of promise. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chancellor. Thanks, sir. We appreciate you being here. Appreciate all your hard work and enthusiasm and everything that UC Merced does for the Merced community. Looking forward to a lot, as you say, a lot of great years for generations to come. UC Merced more and more is going to be the backbone of this community. So
Thank you.
Thank you for all your incredible work moving forward.
Thank you very much.
All right, agenda item I, written petitions and communications. Mayor, the clerk's office received an email from Jerry Perez Chica regarding public comment, and emails from Susan McCaw and Michaela Mua and Curtis Thomas regarding agenda item L1. The emails were received by the 1 p.m. deadline. They were sent to council and posted on the city's website, and any emails received after the 1 p.m. deadline will be sent to council. Agenda item J, public comments. Members of the public who wish to speak on any matter not listed on the agenda may speak during this portion of the meeting and will be allotted 3 minutes. The mayor may propose a further limit to the time available for all speakers at the discretion of the city council in order to accommodate as many speakers as possible. State law prohibits the city council from acting at this meeting on any matter raised during the public comment period. Members of the public who wish to speak on a matter that is listed on the agenda will be called upon to speak during the discussion of that item. And Mayor, I currently have 10 request to speak forms.
Okay. 3 minutes each.
Okay, if I can get the first 5 speakers to the podium to my left. Rick Windling, Stephen Graham, Cindy Kelly, Jennifer Flackman, and Ralph Benz.
Mr. Wendling, welcome back, sir. As you note, you're gone in the same old crowd as.
Well, I met this crowd. Mr. Mayor, City Council, Merry Christmas to you.
Merry
It's
Christmas,
good to
sir.
be here to see you. First off, I want to thank everybody for the wonderful job Council and Public Works have done with the Bob Hart Square. It looks great. And I like the flags that are flying on the 3 staffs down there. And parking on Main Street looks real good. So thanks very much. Now, business.
Bad.
I urge council, every day you come here, to recite your Pledge of Allegiance and your oath of office. Not necessarily the Pledge of Allegiance, because we do that, but your oath of office is so important because it goes above city and county and state. So, and finally, I noticed that that the city is growing in small businesses, but I'm somewhat dismayed that the small businesses that are growing are food wagons or trucks or whatever you want to call them. Brick and mortar doesn't seem to be doing very well in this city as far as small businesses are going. So maybe you can fill me in later about what's actually happening there. But I don't think it's a good thing to see so many food trucks, because if we're trying to build the image of the city of Merced as a statewide, very nice looking city, we need small businesses and buildings, and of course we need better streets. And I understand that City Council is hamstrung pretty much the way the county supervisors are, that so much of your expenditures are mandated, by the state and perhaps by the feds. So I understand that you have a tough job, but again, I urge you to push back up into the legislature when you're talking to our assembly people and state senators. They need to adhere to the constitutions much more closely. And I thank you. And again, Merry Christmas.
Thank you, sir. Merry Christmas to you. Mr. Grant? Or Ms. Kelly?
Well, I'm not Stephen Graham. Good evening, Mayor, City Council, City Manager McBride, and City Attorney Cornwell. Cindy Kelly here, citizen of Merced, and I'm also here on behalf of Merced SPCA tonight. I just came here tonight to say thank you. It has been an incredible year, and I know that sitting on that dais is somewhat of a very thankless job. You have faced criticism, and I know that because sometimes I've been critical at this podium. But I value each and every one of you and your opinions and your contributions on the council to guiding Merced in the right direction. We have seen some amazing things this year. In District 1, we have a new hotel and conference center getting ready to open, which is exciting in the tourism industry. We have new businesses at our newly revitalized Merced Mall, which is amazing. I got a great pair of cowboy boots, by the way, from Boot Barn, whole outfit. So, you know, but we've got some amazing things going on, and it's so exciting to watch all of this happen when for such a long period of time between before COVID and certainly right after, where things became quite stagnant. So it's very refreshing to have the council here to bring your ideas, and I really look forward to you continuing your meaningful and thoughtful decision-making in the new year. Welcome, Councilman Tao. Want to say I'm very excited for you to be here representing District 2. I had a great relationship with Councilman DeAnda about the cat and dog problem in District 2, so I hope to continue those conversations with you. And I want to say Merry Christmas to everyone, and let's get 2026 started. Thank you.
Thank you, Cindy. All right, Mr. Grant. Boot Barn is so busy, it's going to change the way Merced dresses.
Steve Graham, like a graham cracker. Council, I always love to get up here and talk when I can, and I want to say thank you. Following Cindy's comments, I do not have a sweet pair of new boots from the Boot Barn. I apologize. But what I do have is a heart full of gratitude, and I wanted to get up here and just say Merry Christmas to all who celebrate, and those who don't, Happy Holidays and Happy New Year. I wanted to welcome Councilman Tao. I want you to know that I live in District 1, but I have a lot of friends in District 2, and Chancellor Munoz talked about promise a few minutes ago, and you're living that moment yourself right now. Right now, you have so much promise to do so much for District 2 as well as the city of Merced, and the only thing I want to say to you is the same thing I said to Councilman DuPont when he was elected is don't be afraid to reach out to those in your community. Don't be afraid to ask for help when you need it. We all want you to succeed because when you all succeed, we succeed. So with that, Happy New Year, everyone, and I'll see you in the new year.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Flack.
Good evening, Jennifer Flackman, Public Information Officer. I just wanted to make announcements about the City Council's upcoming town hall schedule for 2026. So the first one is January 8th at Stephen Leonard Park Youth Center at 640 T Street. Second one is Tuesday, January 13th at Luther Burbank Elementary School, 609 East Alexander Avenue. And Wednesday, January 14th at El Capitan High School in the theater at 100 Farmland Avenue. So this is an opportunity for the community to come out and share their ideas, ask questions, meet with staff. Staff will be on hand and setting up booths at 5:30, and then the town hall is scheduled to begin at 6 p.m. And I'd also like to announce, if I didn't lose it on my phone, that we have our last maintenance district town hall. That is January 7th at Golden Valley High School. And we'll be promoting all of this information on our social media platforms. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. All right, welcome and good evening.
Thank you. My name is Ralph Benz, and I wish to address the road issues we have in Merced. I take the bus regularly, and our roads look like this. A lot of them look like this. And they're very bumpy, and I have here figures of how many people ride the bus every day. A1, 20,315. Route 2, 18,708. Anyways, it goes on, and I want to address the issue, we need to put money in getting these roads fixed, particularly the one off behind the bus station. So that's what I want to bring. And we need sidewalks too. I worked for Fred Worship in Atwater 220, and I was his assistant helping him with the city planning. So I just want to bring that to your attention. That's it.
Thank you, sir. No, thank you for being here. Certainly roads top concern. Our city engineer, Mr. Jordan, he'll come, he'll if you want to talk to him a little more
Yes,
outside of this.
I would like that.
Yeah, Mr. Jordan will come talk to you, and then he'll give you a lot more information about roads and all the challenges we face trying to improve our roads. So thank you, sir. Appreciate you being here.
Okay, can I get the next 5 speakers? Colton Dennis, Nicola Adams, Gloria Sandoval, Karthik Prasad, and Josh Pedrozo.
Hi, Colton Dennis. Good evening, Mayor Serrato and council members, and our newest member, Councilman Tao and staff. In case you haven't heard yet, I'm very excited to share some big news. On Friday afternoon, the California Arts Council voted to officially designate downtown Merced as a California Cultural District. It was very competitive. We had 74 other counties that applied for this. I mean, 74 possible designations throughout the counties, like LA County, Ventura, Santa Cruz, San Francisco. So big counties we're competing with, and we got this designation. The California Cultural Districts Program was created by Assembly Bill 189 to identify and support places in our state where arts and culture are especially strong and visible. By investing in these hubs, the state of California aims to preserve our heritage, attract visitors, and strengthen local economies. According to the California Arts Council, the Downtown Merced Cultural District was selected for its thriving creativity and unique artistic identity. Our designation comes with several important benefits. Our status as a state-designated cultural district will be in effect from January 1st, 2026 through December 31st, 2030. Our district will receive $10,000 over a 2-year period to support cultural district activities, and we'll gain access to joint marketing and branding resources, as well as peer-to-peer technical assistance with other districts across the state. This will help us learn from successful models, raise our profile, and bring more attention and opportunity to Merced. This designation did not happen by accident. It is the result of collaboration and commitment. I want to thank Gloria Valdovinos of the Downtown Merced Partnership and Jennifer Flackman from the City of Merced for working closely with me and the Merced County Arts Council on the application for this designation. I'd also like to give special thanks to Mayor Serrato for his dedication to the arts in Merced over the years and for attending the California Arts Council meeting on Friday in Sacramento to speak on our behalf in support of this designation. Most importantly, congratulations to all of us. This is a community achievement. It reflects the dedication and creativity of our cultural bearers and tradition keepers, artists and performers at arts organizations and venues, local businesses, arts administrators and advocates, and our city and county leaders who continue to support and invest in the arts. This designation affirms what many of us already know. Downtown Merced is a cultural heart of our region. I look forward to what we build together in the future and to the ways this recognition will help us grow a more vibrant, inclusive, and economically strong Merced. Thank you. Merry Christmas and happy holidays.
Thank you, Colton. Ms. Adams.
Hi, Colton's a little taller than I am. Good evening, City Council, City staff, community leaders. Thank you so much for allowing me to be up here and speak again. Congratulations on our new council member. There are several things that I want to speak about, and I'm going to speak about the things that I kind of do a little bit, but really quickly. First, we just had the Gospel Fest a week from Saturday, a week ago, with Vicky Yohe, which was absolutely amazing. Over at Christian Life Center, there were great mass choirs that were there from different places, and it was absolutely beautiful. The second thing is the Merced County Nut Festival. This was our 5th year at the Merced County Nut Festival. It would have been our 7th, but COVID took us out for 2 years. It started in 2019. It's been doing very well since. This year we had vendors come from Los Angeles area as well as Northern California. These are vendors that I didn't even have a clue that they existed. They contacted me and said, hey, I heard about your Nut Festival. Can we please get in? And so they are starting to come. The Nut Festival is starting to get that traction where we are known, not just here, but statewide. So it's doing very well. And so some of the things we've heard about tonight are the highs of Merced. We've got the downtown area that's going great. We've got the arts that is doing great. And I play this little game with my grandkids on highs and lows. So I'm going to kind of talk about a low in our city. It is our city zoo. This last summer, my 5-year-old granddaughter was visiting from out of state. I took her to the zoo. There were 4 other families that came after us, and they could not attend the zoo because they were coming in with cards, and the zoo apparently does not accept debit cards or credit cards. That is something I think that we should look in changing because we can get more people coming. But I watched about the 3 or 4 families literally walk away with their kids because of that. They did not have cash. Another thing was, my granddaughter at 5 years old said, Nana, the zoo is very sad. The animals are sad. And she did not want to go back. So this is something that I think we need to invest a little more in because this is a place that we take families to. This is a place that our community does and goes to and sees. And so I would be willing to help on this because it's all about community building and making our community stronger and better. And I think this is one of the places that we really could also ask the public to help out with this. There are grant writers in the community that would be willing to help write grants if that's what we need. Being a single mom, I knew that we had to move things around in order to make everything work in our household. So I think this is one of the places that we can look at the community and helping to make better. Thank you. And Merry Christmas. Okay. Happy holidays.
Merry Christmas to you, Nicole. If you could, I ask you to talk to Mr. Jensen back there. Ask him, try to talk him into putting about a $1.8 million or so into the zoo to help fix it.
We can find grant writers.
All right.
We can find them grant writers. Right for money.
All right. I like it. See if you can twist his arm into doing it. Who's next? Mr. Prasad.
Alrighty. Good evening, Mayor, Council, City of Merced. My name is Karthik Prasad here on behalf of Congressman Adam Gray. And over in D.C., we've been pretty darn busy as we wrap up the year. We've been working pretty hard on the End California Water Crisis legislative package, which includes 3 bills. The Central Valley Water Solutions Act, the Water Agency and Transparency Enhancement Review Act, and the Build Now Act, all of which work to increase water storage capacity and provide funding and technical support to develop and maintain water infrastructure projects. The package has the support of the Exchange Contractors, Fremont Water Authority, San Luis Delta, Mendota Water Authority, and Westlands Water District. Representative Gray also joined a group of bipartisan colleagues to work on a framework and an accompanying letter urging the House and Senate leadership to meet and discuss a constructive path forward regarding the Affordable Care Act and ACA tax credits. Representative Gray co-sponsored the Fix-It Act, a bipartisan bill that extends the Affordable Care Act's premium tax credit for 2 years, preventing millions of Americans from having a spike in healthcare costs. And we're still leading the charge on the Protecting Healthcare and Lowering Costs Act, which we would love to have some legislative support from this council. We've also co-sponsored the Agricultural Rural Road Improvement Program Act, which dedicates existing highway formula funds to improve roads and bridges on rural land. And we also helped pass the Secure Rural Schools Reauthorization Act and voted in favor of the Permit Act. But aside from all the legislative updates, I also have a certificate to present to Councilman Yang Thao. It took a lot of guts and a lot of bravery for Councilman Danda to do what he did, and he's got our respect for it. But it takes an equal amount of bravery to step up and answer the call of leadership for your community. So on behalf of Congressman Adam Gray, United States House of Representatives, it's my absolute pleasure to present to Councilman Thao in recognition of outstanding and invaluable service to the community, Certificate of Special Congressional Recognition. Thank you very much for your service to our community.
Thank you, Karthik. You gonna give it to him, or you gonna walk away with it? All right. I thought you were leaving with it. Thank you, sir. Ms. Sandoval, good to see you.
Good evening, all. Gloria Sandoval, District 3. And I come to bring you an invitation. Actually, you are part of it by Parks and Community Services. Is this time around being one of the sponsors for our Winter Solstice Houseless Memorial 2025. And I know, I was real uplifted with Chancellor Munoz's positive things and growth, but I want us to not forget that we have some real vulnerable folks living here, and I don't want you to forget. I'd like you to please join us. At the last count, the committee had 55 deaths on the streets, and we're not even done with December yet. And that's compared to 51 from last year. So we do have still a lot of work to do with regards to our population that's most vulnerable. I do believe that you will see not just the relatives, people that have lost loved ones to the streets, but I think it's important for us to demystify why it is that people end up on the streets. And some people, get educated by listening to other people that have maybe recovered from that. So I'd like to just leave this to, and I just have one other thing that really concerns me, not just what we hear, things drying up, and funds, that possibly some people with permanent housing now, their subsidies might not be coming down. I know Mr. Serrato knows, or Mayor Serrato knows, because he sits on the continuum of care. But a disturbing trend for me is incarcerating houseless people. Utah is now opening about a 1,300 bed site that's gonna be forced labor on houseless. I don't think it's because that people don't wanna work. If you're not clean clothes, you're not shaved or showered, people aren't going to be interested in even giving you an application. Let's help our city. I know that there's been some measures put on the ballot. Monies from the outside might be drying up. Maybe Merced needs to take a stand, to be a little bit more determined on ending or preventing and ending homelessness. Thank you very much, and sorry to bring you some bad news.
Thank you, Gloria. All right, here's the bad news you bring. Supervisor Pedroza.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I always have good news. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Council, City Manager, and City Attorney. Congratulations also, Mr. Tao, on your appointment. I look forward to working with you and learning about your vision for Merced. As mentioned, Josh Pedroza, District 2 Supervisor for Merced County. I just wanted to say, even though the McKee item was approved by the City Council last month, I was unable to attend the December 1st meeting and wanted to take this opportunity to personally say thank you for the continued support and collaboration with the City of Merced on the McKee Road project. This agreement is another strong example of how working together allows us to best serve both our city and county residents, and I am truly grateful for this partnership. I also want to thank the city for the productive meetings that we jointly held last week with the High Speed Rail Authority, and I believe that things get done when we work together, and I believe this partnership is strong. As a reminder, the board will be holding its final meeting of the year tomorrow at 10 a.m., not at our regular location, but at the historic courthouse. And in closing, I'd like to wish everyone a happy holiday season, a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year, and I look forward to a prosperous 2026. Nothing but good news, Mayor.
Thank you, Supervisor. Thank you for your leadership on those issues, as always.
Agenda item K, consent calendar.
All right, takes us to consent. Any members of the council have any items that they would like to have pulled for separate consideration? Councilor DuPont.
I'd like to pull K3.
Okay. K3, Yosemite and Parsons. Anyone else? Jennifer, anything from the public?
We don't have anything, Mayor.
Okay. Discussion or motion with respect to the ballots?
Move to approve.
Second.
I think Harris got it.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilmember DuPont and a second by Councilmember Harris. The motion will include agenda item K4, the adoption of ordinance 2582, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Merced, California, amending Title 17.04, Building Code, Section 17.04.010, 17.05.010, 17.06.010, 17.07.010, 17.09.010, 17.10.010, 17.12.010, 17.20.010, 17.24.010, 17.28.020, and 17.34.010, 17.11.010 of the Merced Municipal Code to adopt by reference the California Building Code, California Residential Code, California Existing Building Code, California Green Code, California Energy Code, California Reference Standard Code, California Historical Code, California Wildland Urban Interface Code, California Administrative Code, California Electrical Code, California Mechanical Code, and California Plumbing Code, and the adoption of Ordinance 2583, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Merced, California, amending Chapter 17.32, Fire Prevention Code of the Merced Municipal Code. Mayor and council, please cast your votes. Okay, and the motion passes unanimously.
And don't worry, Councilmember Chow, the votes, they'll get a little more simple than that. That's going to be, that'll be the most complex. All right, K3.
Mr. Mayor, we have a recusal for our newest council member who was on the planning commission for this item.
Okay.
Mayor, I will follow that recusal as well, as the petitioner is a client of my firm.
Okay. All right, we'll excuse Councilmembers DuPont and Tao. Okay. And Harris is counting like a good, yeah. So we'll take it back to council for discussion or a motion.
I can present this item.
Yeah.
If council would like.
Yeah, I was going to ask if there could be some explanation as to why this is coming back before us.
Mayor and council, when this item came to us a couple of meetings back, we had two items that accompanied the discussion. It was a denial and a affirmative resolution. Those resolutions did not match the exact motion that was passed by council. So this item is purely reflecting the motion at the time of the public hearing, and it is allowing staff to close the administrative record on this item to move forward. So there's nothing new being introduced in the item. It just reflects the motion that was approved.
Okay. Questions for our city attorney, discussion? Jennifer, anything from the public on this?
We don't have anything, Mayor.
Okay. Or a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Boyle and a second by Councilmember Harris. The motion will include the adoption of Resolution 2025-70, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Merced, California, affirming in part without prejudice Appeal Number 25-0004 by Eric Gonzalez on behalf of Yosemite 1380 LLC of the Planning Commission's recommendation of denial of General Plan Amendment Number 24-02 and Site Plan Utilization, or Site Utilization Plan Revision Number 3 to Plan Development Number 20, denial of Site Plan Review Permit Number 551 and Minor Use Permit Number 24-13, and approval of Legislative Action Agreement. Mayor and Council, please cast your votes. Okay, and the motion passes unanimously.
All right, thank you, Jennifer. We'll invite Councilmembers DuPont and Tao back into the council chambers. We'll invite City Engineer, Mr. Jordan. to the podium, and we'll take up first of our public hearings.
Okay, agenda item L, public hearing. L1, continue public hearing, potential introduction of ordinance 2584, amending section 10.16.010, speed limits of the Merced Municipal Code.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We're back here tonight with the speed study with some amendments that we'd like to share with you tonight. We have our consultant here from JLB Traffic. Luis?
Thank you. Jose Benavides, I'm with JLB Traffic Engineering. At the last council meeting, the council directed us to take a look at some of the, at specifically 15 segments that were initially proposed to be raised. So who can, I can use the mouse. It's okay, sorry. Oops. So I'm going to try to go through it as quickly as possible, but as you probably heard in the last one, we studied 237 segments. Of these, 86 were extended, 46 were we classified as residential, 46 as residential business district, which allows us to post them at 25. 5 were business districts, also allows us to post at 25 miles per hour. 100 segments remain unchanged. So in short, the majority are either staying the same, 150 staying the same, 78 are being lowered, 9 of which we're still proposing to increase by 5 miles. So the process, we kind of explained it. The first thing we did is, what can we classify as residence or business district? Those that we were able to do that, we did not collect further information, because once you meet that definition, then you can use it. For the remaining segments, we collected data, which was counts, existing spot speed studies, collision data, and looked at whether we can use California MUTCD, which is the Manual Uniform Traffic Control Devices, whether we can use method 1 or method 2 to determine how we're going to set the speed. Then we also looked at whether we can do a further reduction due to high collision rates or high concentration of vulnerable pedestrians. So this is, a lot of this you've already seen. The business and residence districts, there hasn't been a change to those. The lowered speeds, there were 9 others that were lowered. And these are the 9 that remain. So which ones did we amend from the prior, what you saw previously? It was North Bear Creek between R and M, North Bear Creek between G and East, the eastern city limits, M Street between Olive and Buena Vista Drive, M Street between Yosemite and Lehigh Drive, and Olive between M and G Street. So on some of these, we looked at a little bit closely more at collision rates and pedestrian activities to assist us with that determination to allow us to reduce those or keep those where they were currently at. So with that, any questions?
Questions before we take public comment? Councilmember Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for the presentation. Want to raise 3 things. First of all, let me just step back. I appreciate the extra work that you did and the engineering staff did to take a further look at some of the segments the council had concerns with, and I especially appreciate the fact that there's those 2 segments of Bear Creek Drive that are going to stay where they are. I think that was the right move. I struggle with North Bear Creek between M and G Street going up from 35 miles an hour to 40. I think just as somebody who lives in town, that segment has the same issues that I raised with the eastern segment of Bear Creek Drive, curvatures of the road. There are people crossing the street from the residences on the north side to get to the bike path on the south. Just candidly, there are also at times unhoused individuals who are living basically near the bike lane. And I also wonder if the fact that that segment's going up to 40, if that dilutes the safety, I think, that we're going to gain by keeping the speed limit at 35 on either side of the segment to the west and the east. So I'd maybe just talk a little bit more about why the recommendation is to raise the M to G Street segment of Bear Creek from 35 to 40 miles an hour.
Yeah, me. Let me go back to my binder. Give me a second.
Take your time.
As he's looking at the data, Councilman Smith, if I recall, the 85th percentile was actually pushing a 45-mile-an-hour increase. And it's about like maybe it was 48 or so. So I believe part of the recommendations is to bring that down lower to both of the speed limits that you're speaking to at the 30 on each side and not push that 45-mile-an-hour limit between the two. People are speeding through there at quite a fast speed, so.
Cue the Jeopardy music.
Okay. I don't have that, but I believe you're right. It was like 48, 49 miles an hour.
You're able to pull it up?
I don't know.
I didn't bring the appendix with me, but if I recall, that segment was 85th percentile at 48. That's what people are driving at today, 48 miles. So what that means is usually it goes up to 50. So we have to make findings to drop it down. So the most we can drop it is to 40 based on the 85th percentile that we saw. So it's a very valid question. How do the two segments, east and west, affect this one? They're all tied together in some sense, but we cannot select the speed that we can't make the findings to drop it down to that 40. That's the dilemma that we have, that we can't just arbitrarily reduce the speed limit so low that it's going to make the majority of the users violating the speed limit.
There were findings made, though, correct me if I'm wrong, to maintain the speed limit on the eastern segment of North Bear Creek at 35, though.
Right. Yeah, in those, the 85th was closer, so we're able to do the up to a 10-mile, for them. And that's what we're still doing here.
Doesn't some of the same rationale apply to the M to G Street segment, meaning the curvature of the road, narrowness of the road, pedestrian access?
You can't account for something that's visible. It has to be like, if you're driving, it's visible that there's curvature, that there's residences. It has to be something that you cannot see.
Okay. Well, I mean, I will represent to you that there are often memorials placed on the side of the road, and that's very stretch. There's 2 memorials right now on the eastern side of Bear Creek. But I understand that we're straitjacketed a bit by methodology. Let me turn the page to Mansionette. This is a residential area. Current speed limit is 35. Proposals to go up to 40. We've got a vibrant and busy Catholic church on the Yosemite side and a middle school on the Mercy Avenue side. I mean, and I worry that the data here is skewed. I think the measurements were done at the time that Yosemite's been torn up for the last several months, and so Mansionette's been a little bit of a detour for people. Maybe there's more car traffic, more people trying to get through the area faster. I know you don't have your appendix, but I'm wondering if it's really prudent to raise the speed limit on Mansionette 5 miles an hour to 40.
I mean, the data was collected based on all the information that we got. There wasn't a traffic detour taking place at that time or closure that would have affected the volumes when the data was being collected. So from that standpoint, is it possible that speeds change throughout any day? They do. They change also depending on weather, but we're not supposed to be collecting data if it's foggy or if it's raining, none of those factors. It's supposed to be a normal, it doesn't have to be sunny, but it has to be where visibility is not a factor, where rain's not a factor. It's not supposed to be during the heaviest peak of the day. Like if you're around a school, it shouldn't take place between 7:30 in the morning, 9 a.m., or when they release. So you want to be able to get the free flow speed. The methodologies that we use follow the California MUTCD guidelines. If the direction is that you want us to take a look at, mention it another time, again, a third time, and see if there's anything else, or if you would prefer that we collect another spot speed study and see if we get a different data, that's certainly the city's prerogative.
I mean, speaking for myself, I might lean that way. And I'll just tell you, I mean, I live in that area. So I take your point, sir, that there wasn't a scheduled detour perhaps. But I mean, I live up in Davenport Ranch, which is basically in that area. My driving behavior has been changed. The ongoing construction on Yosemite, you can still drive down it, but it is a pain. So I now turn left to Mansionette, where I used to go all the way down to Paulson and turn left. So that's one more car. That's one more Volvo. It's on Mansionette. I'm sure other people live in my area doing the same thing. And I worry that the data is not accurately reflecting the safe speed for that stretch. That's just my comment. Final question for me, this is more in the box of a true question, I promise. Recommendation is to raise the speed limit on Olive between R and M. I think I heard you say that now that there's going to be different speeds in different segments of Olive Avenue. And my question is, does that make it more difficult in the future to synchronize traffic flow down Olive if you've got different segments that are moving at different speed limits?
It can make it a little bit more difficult, yes.
Okay.
When it comes to the signal timing.
All right. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Sorry, I had one question real quick before we go to Councilmember Harris about North Bear Creek to M to G stretch. And you mentioned too, you have hazards that are visible, but then also potentially unseen hazards. Is that something that can justify dropping it down below the kind of the standard range, potentially?
Other than recollecting data and see if you get a different information from the 85th percentile, I don't see what. The number of homes isn't dense enough to classify it a different classification of a roadway. The number of pedestrians also is not up there. The collision data that comes from the statewide reporting system is not there either. So it's the most difficult part of that segment is that the people that drive the road, that specific segment, are going at relatively higher speed than what it's currently posted. Right now it's posted 35, but people are driving it in excess of 45.
Is it a factor that's probably, I mean, it could be the street in town with the most.
If you ask me why people drive it faster, I think it's because most of the potential collisions is potential, I mean, it's not collisions. The potential conflict points are only on one side. So if you're going, for example, going east, what's your conflict? There is no conflicts.
Could you, I mean, just to,
and it takes both directions, right? So the eastbound could be driving at the highest speed.
Okay. Just to my eyes, unscientifically, that seems to be that stretch, or Bear Creek R to G seems to be the worst street in town for roadkill, for the possums, raccoons, there's cats in the creek, other animals too. That seems to be quite a bit, probably more so than any other street in town too, wildlife or feral cat versus car collisions. Is that a factor that can be considered as well, or something you looked at?
When it comes to collisions, it's only what's reported that we can use. So if something takes place and it goes unreported, we don't have knowledge of it. And two, it needs to be, more importantly, it needs to be reported. It's kind of, you have cases like, let's say if we're talking about an intersection, very similarly, there are many collisions that go unreported and the locals that live right next to it know about it, whereas we would not be able to. And sometimes it's only going to be the locals, the local PD, that would have more knowledge of that type of information. But a collision that we can use to use it as a high collision rate, for example, has to be reported.
Okay. Has there ever been an instance where you follow up with animal control or the police department for that kind of stuff? Or?
We do check in with the police department to see if they have any collisions that we may not have record of, and often we do get some that we did not get from the reporting system because sometimes the statewide reporting system is behind on logging in collisions. What I find is that often the smaller cities with a lot less roads are able to just provide all of their collision reporting data, and in those cases we do have the ability to sift through them to see if there's anything else that the statewide reporting system is not outputting.
Okay, thanks, sir. Councilmember Harris.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Jordan, in your staff report, you give us alternatives, and one of the alternatives is to approve subject to modifications as conditioned by the City Council. If we should elect to approve with 2 changes, keeping Bear Creek between M and G the way it is and keeping Mansionette the way it is, does that have any effect on the radar enforcement for law enforcement? They can still use radar?
Yes, it would. It'd be unable to enforce those speeds in those segments in a court. So the judge would throw those out if he was aware of that.
They can still pace?
Excuse me?
They can still pace vehicles and get their speed that way?
Sure.
So it only affects the radar?
They can't enforce that speed limit in that zone that's posted outside of the 85th percentile that's subject to the rules, standard rules, so.
So if we were to modify that, we'd be rendering those roads unenforceable?
That is correct, sir.
What are your thoughts, Chief?
If I can weigh in. So some of that's true and some of that is not. So What this does is this provides us with a speed survey to do what's called the per se speed limit violations, which let's assume we're in a 25-mile-an-hour zone. If you're going 26 and you're on radar, or you're being paced, or you're somehow get tracked at over 25, I can just write you a ticket, right? And an officer would have to represent, well, how did you determine what the speed was? And then if you're over the posted speed, there's no argument. The argument is now, are you over the posted speed, and what was methodology used? Without a speed survey, we don't have a posted speed that we can take into court to say what the per se speed limit is that we're enforcing. So there would have to be other conditions, like, and I think our consultant talked about them. What's the weather? Is it super dense fog? Is it pouring down rain? So in a 40-mile-an-hour zone, in pouring down rain, 40 may not be, I could easily write, and I've written hundreds of them, I'll be honest with you, you're going for a speed unsafe for the conditions of the roadway. Fog could be another one that we experience here often, where people are going too fast in the fog, and I really don't care what the posted speed limit is if you're driving at a speed that's unsafe, right? This is just for standard per se speed limits, and this makes any kind of radar, LiDAR, any kind of speed enforcement invalid when we present a speed survey. And we present a speed survey to the judge, and that's what the judge at traffic court would utilize for determining, well, what's the speed you're being written for? So it's not uncommon. I just want to be clear, it's not uncommon to have sections of roadway at different, it seems awkward to a lot of us, but it's not uncommon to have sections of roadway that have different speeds based on, sometimes the road would be residential turning into commercial, going back. There could be a lot of reasons. I'm just saying that that's not that uncommon. It sounds awkward, but it really isn't that uncommon. But for us, if we change the speed limits, we would be posting speed limits that if we presented a speed survey, they would be counter to the speed survey, and we run the risk of losing all those cases in court for speed enforcement. Does that make sense?
It does, and I've also written a number of citations for lower than the speed limit based on conditions under the basic speed law. And given that, and subject to any further discussion, I would motion that we approve this subject to those modifications. North West Bear Creek, M to G, and Mansionette to remain at the current speed limit.
I think it's a public hearing, so we still got to take a look at it. Yeah.
Well, I didn't say I would do it, I just said I would.
We could, but that would be as enforceable as writing a speed ticket. All right, any other questions at this time from the council? Okay, we'll open the public hearing. Jennifer, anything from the public on the side?
We don't have anything, Mayor.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is your time to speak on any changes to our speed limits. If you want to choose to speak, please fill out a green request to speak form. Okay, seeing no takers, we'll bring it back to council. We'll close the public hearing, bring it back to council for further discussion and or action. Councilor Harris.
As I was saying, subject to further discussion, I would move that we accept the study with the modifications of Northwest Bear Creek between M and G to remain the same and Mansionette to remain the same.
Okay, is there a second?
Can we please add Olive Avenue between R and M, because I cannot see Olive being 50 miles per hour to your motion.
Accepted.
Then I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. We have Councilmember DuPont.
Thank you, Mayor. So let me get this correct. We're going to have these three sections that have an unenforceable area of being able to enforce the speed limit, except for a discretionary decision based on conditions of the road. Is that correct?
Conditions and some other factors. Obviously, reckless is still enforceable, and some other ones. But what we're really eliminating is the you were doing 40 in a 35. the per se speed limit, which I,
So, and we're going to go, we are not going to follow the recommendations of the study in this decision.
yeah, I think, and my reasoning for that is the study is very strict. The study has criteria that they have to go by, whatever's, again, the accidents, whatever's reported, even if you know there are more reported. I think the value we bring as a council is that we live here, we know the streets better, we know what we can and can't do for speed limits around the area, and that's where we have the ability to weigh in and make modifications.
I don't disagree that we have the local knowledge. I just want to ensure that we're also following the regulations and rules that we have to in a speed study for the city as well, right? Look, I'm not saying I'm for increasing speeds here in the city, but we're towing a very fine line that we want to be careful in what we're making a decision on. And so I totally get that we have the local knowledge and understanding. I mean, just today, there was an accident on M and Olive, right? So I totally get it, but want to ensure that we have an understanding of where we're going with this vote.
Councilor Smith.
Thank you. So I appreciate the motion. This is a tough one. I don't like the fact that these speed limits are going up that I called out. I share Councilmember DuPont's at least question. I wonder if the greater public safety danger is our police officers not being able to use radar to enforce the speed limit on these sections more so than the posted speed. I think, I'm not going to disagree with our consultant, our city engineer. If state law has certain requirements and they can't, in good faith, make a finding to reduce the speed on, say, Bear Creek to 35, then we might be stuck with that. And I heard them tell us that the data could have had the speed limit going up to 45, but they held the line at 40. So this is a close call. I question the prudence of raising the speed limit on Olive Avenue when we're trying to fund a speed synchronization effort. I don't know, and it has not been explained how those two things are going to be working together. I'll have to think about it, but I would like to ask, as part of the motion, that we also, ask that staff find a way to redo the speed study on Mansionette. I didn't hear a good response to my firsthand experience of how the road construction on Yosemite has in fact changed driving behavior and pushed people down Mansionette. I think once the construction is done, it's worth redoing the study for that stretch.
Okay, Councilor Harris.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but as we stand now, that speed study, or 2017 speed study is expired, and we can not use radar in the city at all, can we? Until we adopt a new speed study.
That's correct.
And how long would it take to
Cat's out of the bag here.
to redo it? I'm not leaning towards that.
One option, Councilman Harris, would be to adopt some form of it tonight and have us go back and study certain sections and see if we would need to amend that at a later date.
That sounds like a workable plan. Councilmember Smith?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, that would be my suggestion, is adopt it, but ask the team to go back and take another look on at least Mansionette, and then if there's a reason to modify, they can come back.
Okay, Mr. McBride.
Thank you, Mayor. I think what we're hearing is some type of a hybrid where you want to approve where you're staying the same or where you're reducing, but you've got some concerns over certain increases. So perhaps the direction would be to do additional monitoring at those locations, see if the data warrants changes, and then evaluate those. So perhaps make all the appropriate changes except for those increased segments. That might be your hybrid to get you a path forward.
And Chief, if we had speed limits that really aren't really the speed limit or aren't necessarily enforceable, what kind of problems does that cause, if any, for your officers?
Well,
I think there's your answer. And clear notice to the public as well. That's what's
right, put me on spot. That's a huge problem. So I just want to remind everybody, we are seeing a 25% reduction in collisions year to date in 2025 from 2024. 25% reduction is several hundred fewer traffic collisions. What we are seeing is with a 100% increase in enforcement activity and the installation of our red light cameras, we are seeing an extremely large reduction in our collisions. Speed is not the only thing that causes collisions. I do not want to be giving you false information here like this is the end all. This is a big deal. This is a big deal for traffic enforcement when it comes to enforcing and keeping speeds under control in our community. We talk about the stretch of Bear Creek. Posted speed is 35, I think, but our average driver is going 48 right now. So, you know, we just, this is what the data tells us. And I spend a lot of time looking at data. You all know that. The numbers don't lie. We have to pay attention to the numbers. It doesn't change. School zones at 25, school zone is still 25. That's a school zone. Construction zones are lower. I mean, there's things that are mitigating factors. I understand that, but we are unfortunately kind of behind time here. Mr. Jordan and myself both realized this was expiring, and our predecessors weren't aware of this, and so it just kind of caught us all by surprise. So we're playing catch up for something. This was something that I started 2 years ago, and I got here, and we're just now getting to the finish line. So just to wrap our heads around how long this takes, this is quite the process. So if we put this down and start over, this will be a speed survey of 2028, and we'll have 2 years potentially. So I hate to tell you that we do not have luxury of time, but I'm just being honest with you all. It is expired. That is a fact, and this probably won't even take effect till February at this point. So we probably need to make some decisions to continue with our downward trajectory of crash reduction. That'd be my recommendation.
Okay, thank you, sir. Yeah, just for my part too, I mean, I don't like it, these speed limits are going up. Certainly, we all sitting up here and you know, hearing from the public and interacting with the public, we hear one of the top issues all the time is people drive too fast, they speed. I think it's something all of us hear constantly, but at the same time, I think we have to have, you know, the speed limit has to be enforceable. We can't arbitrarily keep it down just because we don't like it. We got to have a leg to stand on. So I think maybe there's some more work to be done with the 3 streets that have been discussed, North Bear Creek, Mansionette, and Olive. But you know, aside from that, I think, and we got to move. We got to get this approved as well too. Councilmember Harris.
Thank you. I was going to amend my motion to ask for the restudy of Mansionette, just to add on to that.
Okay. Study Mansionette. Is your amendment to essentially have more study and more work on North Bear Creek, Mansionette, and Olive, as opposed to just keeping the speed limits where they are? Or is what exactly is the?
Well, we can look at all 3 of them. If they're going to look at one, you might as well look at the other 2 also.
Okay.
But I still want to go through with the original motion.
Okay, that's keeping the speed limits
unchanged on those three streets.
Okay.
Not raising them.
Okay. Just, yeah, I'm gonna just want to be clear. I'm a no on that, just because I don't think they can be legally enforceable. But I would support certainly having more work done on those streets. Just wanted to let you know.
Thanks for the preview.
You're welcome. All right, is there a second? There was a second, but there's an amendment? So is there a second?
There was a second, if you accept that amendment also.
Yes, second.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilmember Harris and a second by Mayor Pro Tem Boyle. The motion will include the reintroduction of Ordinance 2584, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Merced, California, amending Section 10.16.010, speed limits of the Merced Municipal Code. Mayor and Council, please cast your votes. Okay, the motion passes with Councilmember Dupont and Mayor Serrato voting no.
All right, thank you both. L2, our second public hearing of the night.
Okay, agenda item L2, public hearing to consider adoption of a resolution accepting the annual report on development impact fees for fiscal year 24-25 as required by the Government Code Section 66006B.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This item tonight is for the city's annual AB 1600 Development Impact Fee Report for fiscal year 2025. The report fulfills the Mitigation Fee Act's annual reporting requirements for documenting fee collections, expenditures, account balances, and progress toward planned capital improvements. The report is provided for transparency and compliance purposes, and staff recommends the City Council receive and file the report. The presentation tonight here, AB 1600, we've got a few pictures here to show with you about continued needs for public improvements. Is why we collect these fees. A little bit of background. In 1988, the City Council adopted Resolution 8872. In 1998, the Public Facilities Impact Fee was added to our collection device. In 2002, a 20-year time frame from 2000 to 2020 for projects was also included. In June of 2003, we amended the public facilities impact fees and re-examined the fees for high turnover retail uses. August of 2003, we increased the basis of the engineering construction with the cost index, and in fee modification updates were also made in March of 2006, September of 2009, December of 2012, and February of 2022. Requirements of the Government Code Section 66006. We need to provide a brief description of the type of the fee in the fund, the amount of that fee, the beginning and ending balances of the funds, the amounts of fees collected and the interests earned, an amount identified for each public improvement, identification of construction timeframe for the public improvement, and any reasons for delays. A description of each interfund transfer or loan made from the fund and the amount of refunds made. Additional requirements, the city must make the following requiring findings. Funds are committed or uncommitted. Identify the purpose to which the fee is to be put. Demonstrate a reasonable relationship for the purpose of the fee. Identify all sources and amounts of funding anticipated. When sufficient funds have been collected, the agency is required to identify a time frame for completion or shall refund to the current owners of record. Here's a picture of Chris's Park, CP42. You can see below, our public facility impact fees are collected for roadway facilities, traffic signal facilities, fire facilities, police facilities, park facilities as seen below, Public Works Corporation yard facilities, infotech facilities, and transportation facilities. Other fees that we collect are for our park reserve, our refuse capital equipment charges, waste facility charges, and water facility charges. A few identified projects here that we're working on: Water Well Site 22, as you see below, the expansion of the capacity of future development out in this part of the city. On the right, you'll see Yosemite Avenue sewer main in construction. A few other projects here: Fire Station 56, located in North Merced, conceptual design at M Circle, as you can see below. General Vang Pao Park on the bottom right. It's an exciting project that's currently under design. And the police station land acquisition and location is to be determined. Citywide capital improvement projects, a brief breakdown of those. Different phases would be design. We have 25 projects in design now, about $51 million worth of work. Construction or nearing construction, 14 projects, another $50 million. Closeout of 12 projects at about $10.5 million. Totals about 51 projects and $111 million. Staff recommendations are to accept the compliance report for AB 1600 development fees for the fiscal year 24-25 and make findings related to unexpended balances as required by California Government Code Section 6601 and adopt a resolution entitled, "A Resolution of the City Council of the City of Merced, California, accepting development impact fees fiscal year 24-25 annual report and making findings related to unexpended developer deposits for public improvements as required by California Government Code Section 6601. Council actions tonight could be to approve as recommended by staff, refer back to staff for consideration on specific items, or deny. I'm here with any questions you may have.
Thank you, sir. Questions for Mr. Jordan? Okay, seeing none, Jennifer, anything from the public? We'll open the public hearing.
We don't have anything, Mayor.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, now's your time to be heard on this item if you'd like, on the developer impact fees. Okay, seeing none, we'll close the public hearing and bring the matter back to council for discussion and/or action. Councilmember Smith.
I will move to accept the compliance report as presented and adopt the findings therein.
Second.
All right, motion second, any discussion? All right, seeing none, we'll call for the question, Jennifer.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilmember Smith and a second by Councilmember DuPont. The motion will include the adoption of Resolution 2025-76, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Merced, California, accepting the development impact fees fiscal year 24-25 annual report and making findings related to unexpended developer deposits for public improvements as required by California Government Code Section 66001. Mayor and council, please cast your votes. Okay, and the motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, council.
Thank you, Mr. Jordan, for your work on both those items. All right, on to our third public hearing of the night. Jennifer.
Okay, agenda item L3, public hearing to consider Parks and Community Services proposed updated fee schedule.
Thank you. Mr. Jensen.
Yeah, perfect. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Council, and Community. Chris Jensen, Parks and Community Services Director, here before you tonight to present on this public hearing item. We had a discussion earlier this month on some of the topics we wanted up for your consideration tonight with this recommendation. One of which was to look at our fees for our direct services. Another issue that we wanted your consideration of was the indirect service costs, which are facilities and fields that we rent out for public amenity. And last, the addition of Bob Hart Square Plaza to our fee schedule. Just to start off, the mission of this department is to create facilities and activities that enhance the quality of life for residents and visitors in Merced. We accomplish this through two means: direct services, which are programs, events, and activities that we conduct with our staffing, and indirect services such as fields, facilities, and public venues that are available for community use. In order to reduce the reliance on the general fund to carry out these functions, we implement a cost recovery model to try to offset enough of our expense so that we're not drawing down too much of the general fund. Just for your recollection, these fees are adopted through City Council by resolution. The last time that these fees were adjusted were 2023. Since that schedule was adopted at that time, both wages, materials and supply cost, and also maintenance required on facilities has increased significantly. Minimum wage, just as an example, about 2/3 of our department operates with employees that are part-time, funded through minimum wage jobs, and that's as of January 1, 2026, will be at almost a 10% increase since this fee schedule was last adopted. Operation costs have increased about another 10%, and ongoing instances of vandalism and deferred maintenance increase our maintenance costs as well. A little bit about our direct services. While the department does our best to recruit volunteers, we do require staff at minimum levels to ensure that our standards of practice are implemented for safety purposes and efficiency, as well as quality of service. We operate through lots of grants, contracts, and scholarships to reduce cost of participation, but those revenues don't always cover the true cost of operations. The current cost per service hour for our direct services is about $4 per hour. Compared to some of our other local recreation programs, their average cost is between $6 and $7 an hour. With our direct service fees, we're looking to get to at least a $5 an hour service level. That would help us shore up some significant shortages on our staffing costs. Indirect services, in comparison, offer a variety of venues for our sports organizations, our community activities, and those are done through fields, classrooms, outdoor stages, and indoor halls. The current fees associated with the field and facility use can't support the internal or external use of these venues. The model that we currently implement for field and facility rentals includes 3 tiers. One is a base rental fee, and that rate is usually dictated by the type of venue we're talking about. Some of them are outdoor venues that require very little maintenance or upkeep or repair. Others are indoor facilities that have HVAC issues, lighting, other amenities that become quite more expensive. We also have a nonprofit fee. This is a 50% reduction, no matter the venue or the use. And there are some questions about the difference between a nonprofit fee and a co-sponsorship. Typically, the nonprofit fee, because it's adopted through resolution, does not allow us the latitude to determine how many nonprofits we allot that fee to. It's required through our resolution, whereas a co-sponsorship fee sometimes can be monitored based on our budget, projections that we've brought in, or even council or our commission's recommendation to co-sponsor or not different activities. The co-sponsor rate specifically usually equates to a fee reduction or a complete waiver, and typically that would require city council approval. It's not something that we determine in isolation of your consideration. The co-sponsored fee, because it is a complete waiver many times, if fees aren't just reduced, tends to be the most expensive. We put a couple of examples for your consideration together at the request of council last meeting during our discussion. This here shows our indirect service costs, and we're looking specifically at field rentals. We have 3 sports complexes at this time. We have Joe Herb, which is a softball complex with some open green space for additional amenities and activities. We have Nanini Youth Sports Complex off of Wardrobe, and McNamara grass and turf soccer fields. And what you see in blue on each of those facilities charts is the total current revenue that's brought in. What you see in orange is the potential full rate revenue that we could have brought in, and the green is the loss in revenue with the overall loss percentage at the bottom of each facility. With Joe Herb, I do want to point out the revenues were significantly lower there than historically have been brought in. One of the HUD CDBG projects that you allocated funding to earlier this year was a renovation of this venue. It's seen some significant wear and tear over time and needs to be upgraded. We've foresee this being a major increase in revenue in the years to come after that renovation is complete. This facility also houses 3 of our internal services that we operate, 2 adult softball programs and our youth flag football program. So that takes it off the books to be able to bring in revenue externally as a field rental. Nanini, we're at going back to Joe Herb just as an example, even though there was only an $1,800 revenue brought in, we could have brought in $5,400 based on our current fee schedule. Between the nonprofit rate and the co-sponsored rate, we had a 66% loss in potential revenue. Looking at the Nanini Sports Complex, we fund 2 youth sports organizations. Our current arrangement that was adopted with the 2023 fee schedule includes that each youth sports organization receive 1 free recreation season. That equates to 4 community youth sports organizations outside of the city of Merced receiving full scholarships or co-sponsorship rates, which means they pay nothing to use our venues. In any youth sports complex, that equals a 50% reduction in potential revenue by co-sponsoring 2 youth sports organizations. At McNamara Grass and Turf Facility, that's our most revenue generating facility. We have an all-weather turf there that is seeing its age for sure, but it still tends to be the most sought after facility in the city as far as the sports complex goes. We brought in $42,000 with the potential to bring in $48,000, so we still saw a $13,000 loss. And again, that's just because the one recreation youth sports organization was co-sponsored. When we look at indoor facilities or outdoor facility rentals, we see a similar pattern, but in this case, the biggest loss is the nonprofit rates. We're at a 12% loss at the Merced Senior Community Center, just under 1% at Riley Shelter. The Rotary Scout Hut, we have an 18% loss of potential revenue, and the Rosati Education Building is a 17% loss in potential revenue. There's several nonprofits that use these facilities on a weekly basis, year-round, and those nonprofit rates are applied at every single dose of those rentals. Occurrence, excuse me. There we go. Some good news. As far as fees goes, we have a beautiful new venue that was discussed earlier by one of the members of the public, spoke during public comment. Bob Hart Square is about 98% complete. We have a couple of finishing touches, but the venue's already been used on several occasions with a lot of success, a lot of momentum and excitement in our community. We foresee this being just as popular, if not more, than the Mode at Applegate Park. There's been a ton of activity downtown. We're really excited about council's ongoing investment in the downtown corridor, and specifically for our department, the addition of Bob Hart Square Plaza to add some of that, anchor some of that ongoing liveliness and activity that's been going on downtown. This was also one of the venues that was visited by the Art District consideration. So well done to council, and congratulations again to all the Merced artists in the district being nominated. The area was expanded to include this new venue, which you see here, which used to be the dead end of Canal, south of Main Street. This is a plaza that is specifically between the alleyway and 16th Street itself. Its moniker is a stage that performances can take place on with sound barrier walls for seating and exterior lighting as well. Any events that would be hosted here would have to take place within this footprint. If they were to spill over outside of this specific venue, being the general Bob Hart Square area into the parking lot over Main Street, any events that were larger in scale or nature would still have to come to council for consideration, because it would then spill over into what's considered public city real property, which is not the purview of the Park and Recreation Department, Parks and Community Services Department, excuse me. So we would continue to work with our partners at Planning, Police, and Public Works to bring these items before you for your consideration on a case-by-case basis. We do want to highlight that supporting this new plaza will require the implementation of certain tools to help funnel activity to this area. Much like the discussion around the traffic study and synchronization, if we have a new venue that we've poured resources into creating for an event space, but we don't have procedures that align local activities to use this event space, it could undermine those efforts. Cost recovery for public events. This was of specific concern, not just at our discussion, but also as it relates to just ongoing street closures that the city experiences with all the great activities that are going on. And we did want to bring up that use of city real property or street closures for things such as events, downtown, parades, festivals, farmers markets. Those are outside of the purview of this department. What we're considering this evening is specifically the fees associated with recreation facilities that are reservable. The costs associated with those activities that fall outside of this are not part of the scope of this public hearing. And that concludes the presentation.
Okay,
Okay, thank you, Director Jensen. Councilmember Harris.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Jensen. And you and your people do an amazing job with the parks and other recreation places here. My question is, your cost of materials, do you anticipate the tariffs of having any effect on that and having them go up more?
It depends. Sometimes there might be policies that require that the materials or supplies we're using be American-made. If they're sensitive in nature, GoPro cameras, drones, things of that nature, we don't tend to delve in that too often. Where we're seeing a lot of the tariff increases hit is more on the projects that Mr. Jordan was expressing, his report on the CIPs earlier. A lot of times those are more global economy supplies. What we're looking at, though, is even things that are supplied here that may not be tariffed, that just general cost of inflation. For a quick example, a softball used to cost about $2. For the recreation direct services that we offer, we're required to offer a certified type of ball. It's now over $6. So we're seeing triple to quadruple expenses on just direct services that we offer, and the supplies required to offer those on a routine basis.
I see. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Additional questions for Director Jensen? Okay, we'll open the public hearing. Jennifer, anything from the public? Oh, before we do that, Councilmember Smith.
Oh, sorry about that. Thank you for the presentation. Thank you for all the work. I think I recognize the gentleman on the slide up here. I want to make sure I'm clear. So within the purview, as you said, of facilities that are rented in under your department's control, the proposal is to do away with the nonprofit rate, to raise rates overall, and you attach the fee schedule. I'm not quite understanding the proposal with regard to co-sponsorships. Are you suggesting that we get rid of the co-sponsorship opportunity as well?
Yeah, so during the discussion initially, we'd suggested council's consideration, or that we would bring for council's consideration, to keep the co-sponsor opportunity. The reason being that we felt we had latitude there to determine how many events were co-sponsored. We did want to highlight on the earlier chart that there are some significant shortages when we talk about co-sponsoring complete leagues for use of our city fields due to the ongoing wear and tear, et cetera, that we have to upkeep no matter who's using them. But for community events, things that we may partner to host anyhow because they align with our goals and objectives, we wanted that opportunity to continue to co-sponsor those applicable applications. I understand that there is some concerns about the perception that we may have to pick and choose what opportunities we want to co-sponsor. We appreciate that concern, and so we brought before you the opportunity to just have one flat fee for your consideration this evening. Due to some of the discussion, we thought that some of the points were well made.
Okay, understand. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, additional questions? Okay, we'll open the public hearing. Jennifer, anything from the public?
I do have two requests to speak forms, Liz Dobbins and Gloria Sandoval.
Third coming too.
And Gloria Valvadios.
All right, Ms. Dobbins, you'll be first, and then Gloria's second, and Gloria Sandoval second, Gloria Valdivinos third. All right, Liz, good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Council. I just wanted to come up here and share in regards to that. For me, I run a club for individuals with special needs, and I do utilize the senior center, and they do co-sponsorship. So for our individuals, they don't have a lot of money. So the co-sponsorship is very beneficial to the organization. So I'm just trying to put that out there that, you know, we would love to see it continue for us because the individuals don't have the money to pay. So right now I serve Merced County with about 85, almost 90% of the individuals being from Merced. And they can't, you know, they don't have the money, they can't afford it. So I do have a cost, but if it does increase, I won't be able to continue doing that. There's not a lot for them to do in this area as it is now. I go to other cities and there's a lot for them to do. So I wanted to go ahead and have that for them in this area. So just trying to let the city know that this is something I would like to continue, but I can't if I don't have, you know, the sponsorship or the support. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Liz. Mrs. Sandoval.
Thank you. I just wanted to, in case people don't know, the winter solstice that we're preparing now, we kind of had to almost negotiate with how to keep the rate down. But I do want you to know that besides the city's cost, which I think is fair, I mean, because there are things that have to be fixed and the grass has to be cut and, people have to be paid. But we are also required liability insurance. And we had to shop around. I mean, Winter Solstice does not have any budget or anything. Luckily, one of our partners was a 501c3, or a few of them are. So we're able to keep the cost down on the use. But I really think that there has to be a distinction between people having vendors that are at places, rather than just a service to the community, something that we value and gives our city some personality, that we care about people. But I think that, we should, if at all, like I noticed, it was Fresno who had some kind of parks, measure that covered some of that, so we would be able to have it and not have to be dependent on, nickel and diming our nonprofits. So I would say, please be careful with having a general thing, and remember also that you've, through your anti-camping ordinance, also excluded some people just on how they look. That's the other aspect of it that kind of, it's like the speeding study that you were doing right now. I saw the speeding study, and, there's like different speeding limits in different sections of the same street. I said, what? How are you going to know what, which is 25, which is 30, which is 35? That type of thing. But same thing could happen here with the issue of making money off of people that don't have any money, okay? But also to consider that, when you do have vendors, they are gonna make money. So there maybe should be, I don't know if it could be through a percentage or whatever, but just to take some caution on this. Thank you.
Thank you, Gloria. Ms. Valdovinos.
Hi, everybody. Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Gloria Valdovinos, and I am the Executive Director to the Downtown Merced Partnership. First, I want to thank you. Bob Hart Square is a meaningful investment in Downtown Merced, and I appreciate the work staff has done to bring this plaza forward. I wanted to speak briefly to the proposed fee schedule for Bob Hart Square. Under the proposal, the rental cost is $150 per hour, which becomes challenging very quickly for downtown events. That means if someone wanted to have an event that's 4 to 6 hours long, the event would cost about $600 and $900 at Bob Hart Square. This does not include restrooms or sound or other event costs associated with putting on the event. I understand that there are real costs associated with managing and maintaining this space. At the same time, Bob Hart Square is just launching, and this is a critical moment for it to establish itself as a lively, welcoming downtown gathering space, especially as Downtown Merced has recently been designated as a state cultural arts district. It's even more important that spaces like Bob Hart Square are accessible and easy to activate. The goal of the plaza is to continue supporting Downtown Merced and bringing life to this area. We should be encouraging more events to come downtown, not unintentionally pushing them elsewhere because the barrier of entry is too high. I really believe we need to give this plaza a chance, especially during its early phase, by making it as accessible as possible so it can be activated regularly, feel vibrant, and truly serve the community. I would encourage council and staff to revisit the proposal fee schedule with downtown activation in mind. I'm committed to continuing the work alongside the city to help Bob Hart Square thrive. Thank you for the time and for your continued investment in downtown Merced.
Thank you, Gloria. All right, Jennifer, any more citizen comments?
That's all we have, Mayor.
All right. Anybody else want to be heard on this item? Okay, seeing no additional speakers, we'll close the public hearing and bring it back to council for additional questions, discussion, and possible action. Comments from the council. Councilmember Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll give Mr. Jensen a second.
Yes, sir.
You mentioned in regard to the co-sponsorship model having control over the event. If there was no co-sponsorship option per se, would you or your staff still have the opportunity to negotiate the rate relative to the rack rate that's posted? Meaning for a specific event, if there, as Ms. Sandoval said, if there's no vendor, it's not a money-making event for the event organizer, it's purely a service. Would that be a situation where your staff can, on a case-by-case basis, reduce the rate?
That's a really good question. I think that with our co-sponsorship option that we have now, there's an opportunity to assess whether or not an application aligns with our mission goals and objectives. At least that's my perspective. Those may change annually. For example, downtown has seen a significant investment in recent years, both with just intention, strategic partnerships, formations of outside organizations, and major infrastructure improvements. I would say that there's probably a considerable argument to be made for activities there to be co-sponsored if they meet certain conditions. Some of the issues that we run into with co-sponsorship is use of the same term for different reasons. Someone brought up the issue with vendors selling items at community events. If there's a cost of entry to participate fully in the event, I think that we're being a little bit counterintuitive with the request to have co-sponsored activities if the expectation is that attendees will pay money to participate. Those are things that we look at when we're talking about co-sponsorship in our department. I think historically when co-sponsorships, and not to conflate the two issues, but when we're talking about street closures and things like that that tend to be extremely expensive, oftentimes there are items sold at those activities as part of them. And so we just want to make sure that we delineate what co-sponsorship means for us. The other alternative would be just a formal partnership. For example, case in point, we run a Gateway to Yosemite 5K, 10K that many of you have participated in the past. That's a formal partnership between Merced County Office of Education, an organization that has shown up to the table. We participate fully as partners with hosting a community event. There is a fee associated with it, but those fees go back into our park system to enhance our park spaces or open spaces. So there's a strategic partnership there, even though there are fees charged, so that they go back into our park system as local amenities are needed. So for us, I think that the co-sponsorship gives us that latitude that we have now without undermining our ability to bring in revenue. It also gives us the opportunity to set a budget. When we talk about direct services, we have a scholarship that we annually set aside of $5,000 or $8,000? $8,000. Once that limit is met, we cannot scholarship anymore because we have it in our budget for a certain dollar amount without council's consideration for an additional appropriation. That would be the same experience here. Sometimes there may be competing organizations requesting co-sponsorships or city endorsement from our department or council. That can become muddy the water really quickly. So in our experience, partnerships, consideration of partnerships, still gives us that opportunity without having something in policy that mandates a particular co-sponsorship, and the process that co-sponsorship would require. You know, I don't want to lose sight of the fact that what we're talking about here is how to make our department whole. As inflation, real costs are experienced by our department, we have real expenses. And if those aren't covered, whether it's due to co-sponsorships, nonprofit rates, or partnerships, we have to decide, with your support, what other services we offer that we no longer want to offer our community. And so it's not a value estimation of anything that we have co-sponsored or any nonprofits that we've given nonprofit rates to. We believe that they're all valuable. What's in front of you is whether or not this is the model you want to move forward to help make our department whole.
No, I'm glad you raised that point. I mean, that's kind of the essential discussion we're having, right? Is we also don't want the Parks Department to have to cut programs because it can't afford to do everything. It's also not fair that we're trimming fewer trees or fixing fewer roads because the general fund has to support the Parks Department. So I appreciate the hard work you've done to figure out what a reasonable rate is that does get us at least to something like revenue neutrality, right? Mm-hmm. You know, my problems with the co-sponsorship, what do I call it, process that we have, it just seems like an applicant, whoever it may be, can check a box and make a request. It ends up on our consent calendar. We have no discussion, and there you go. I think that's really undermined your ability to budget for your department. Yeah. I do think that you and your team know what you're doing, and I do think that there's a way that we can get to maybe a more stringent and set of rules and guidelines for what a sponsorship looks like. I like your idea, Mr. Jensen, of a partnership. We've got a lot of groups in town. You know, MCOE is an easy one, but Club 67 is another one with an established track record. I would like to give you and your team and the city manager some flexibility, but I agree with you. You know, the rate is what the rate is. And if there's going to be a deviation from that, we need to start with something that makes your department whole, but give you the flexibility, I would argue, to make other decisions on a case-by-case basis.
I appreciate that confidence. Thank you.
Councilor Dupont.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Director Jensen. Couple questions. Now, the fees currently, there's a difference in reduction of rate between a nonprofit and a co-sponsorship, correct?
Yes. Most times a co-sponsorship, it depends on the venue. As I mentioned in the presentation, something like we co-sponsor for Chance Dobbins for the Club 67. Because of how expensive operating the senior center is, that's a 50% reduction even though we're co-sponsoring. If it's something like an outdoor venue where you don't have some of the additional cost of indoor facilities, it's typically a complete fee waiver.
The other thing, Councilmember Smith had brought up, bringing these co-sponsorships to council as well, and sometimes not having enough information. But there is a difference between some of the stuff that comes to council and the co-sponsorships that are through the Parks and Community Service Department. Is that correct?
Yeah, some of them are, excuse me, some of them are historical commitments that have been made. So the example that I used for the field fee comparison, those are youth sports organizations that agreements were made sometimes socially, sometimes formally, to support those nonprofit sports organizations with free facility use. Those agreements were made much like the chancellor's presentation at a time when Merced was a much different size and shape than it is today. Our estimation is we can no longer support those free subsidies for youth sports organizations, particularly when we compare what our fee schedule is to what their rates may be. We have a pretty thorough understanding that it's affordable.
And then in general, what kind of methodology or discussion or thought process was used in figuring out what amount would be increased in the fee schedule, or how much and how?
The first slide that we opened up with explaining the 10% cost and minimum wage, roughly it's 9 point something percent. that we've experienced about 10% in maintenance and supplies, and then the increase in vandalism that we've been experiencing at our venues. Bob Hart Square, beautiful. Got a report this weekend that there was a fire set in the plaza already, and we just opened it. So I understand that the desire to keep spaces activated. Right now, we don't have a fee, and we've had several events there. We still have real costs for vandalism. And so the rates by which we propose to increase our schedule by are reflective of the real costs that we've seen over the last 3 years.
Thank you. That was my next question, but you just answered it, so I have no more. Thank you.
Additional comments? Just a few points too. I think your department and the city has a huge role to play in community building in terms of supporting our nonprofits, supporting our community members, and kind of unlocking them and the things they do. And so when we support, I think a lot of the speakers made really good points. When we support, or at least give the appearance of support, that inspires and encourages folks. And I think in a big way, we've been adding a lot in the last few years to the vibrancy of our community. Personally, I don't expect, I think the general fund, it's always the classic, debate between taxes and fees, but I think, the fees that the Parks Department collect shouldn't be expected to support the entire department and support the entire services. It has to be supplemented by general revenues. That's because we provide services to a lot of low-income folks as well too, which is really important, and it's hard to quantify those costs. So I think obviously we have to have a reasonable fee. If you're reserving public spaces, there has to be a reasonable fee associated with it, but we don't want to in any way discourage the vibrancy of our community, discourage services to especially to low-income folks. Club 67, everything Liz does with all the special needs kids, a really unique niche that she's developed and provides an incredible service to them as well. So I think there's just a lot to balance here. I think, again, Gloria Patu makes really good points about Bob Hart Square, and if that's going to be more expensive than a street closure, significantly more expensive potentially, then, what kind of problems does that create? So I just think, us as the council, your department in particular, and the city has a big role to play in community building and adding to the vibrancy of this town. And, if we need to, we need to appear to support that, we need to support that, because that just really unlocks our community and makes it a fun place to be. So those are just a couple thoughts. So I think anything that potentially could jeopardize that vibrancy, I think we have to really look at closely and with skepticism. All right, Councilor DuPont.
Well, I would agree with you, Mayor, that we have a lot of good stuff going on. There are real costs to the things that we do, real costs to the Parks and Community Service Department that are working hard and diligently to lower their costs. I mean, this year we had to cut programming in some areas because of those costs. And I think that is a disservice to the community. So when you look at surrounding communities, our fees are still lower. And we have to realize we are a community that's growing of now almost 100,000 people. I understand increasing costs is not always what we want to do, but sometimes it's a necessary reality because of the direct costs that are associated to running the department, having people in your department helping you provide the services, provide the indirect and direct services to those that want to have community events. And we do have a lot of events, as Ms. Sandoval pointed out, that are charging people and still getting the nonprofit rate or a city-sponsored rate. So they're getting a reduced rate on top of charging people. Come on. I mean, that's double dipping into the well, and that's just not fair. And that is a disservice to our city as well, because people are looking to not only gain funding on the backs of the whole city, and only a few are being selected to do that, and I think that's wrong.
Councilor Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate Councilmember DuPont's perspective. I think I agree with both of you. I mean, to me, we're kind of making this a little bit more challenging than it really needs to be. The fee schedule, in my view, accurately reflects the true cost of providing those services, and it should be adopted. But my view is we should continue to give Mr. Jensen and his staff the flexibility to enter these partnerships when we need to reduce rates so that an event that's worth having or a series of events, a service can continue. We probably need to look at it like some kind of a city grant or something like that. I think there needs to be a little bit more bookkeeping around it. The applicant probably should provide more of a justification for the city extending that revenue to that service. But, you know, you can make a distinction between events and uses of our facilities that drive revenue for somebody and those that don't. And I really think that if we can reasonably craft a line so that events that are not driving revenue and those that are providing a service can be distinguished, that I would support something like the partnership model that Mr. Jensen was discussing. But for me, I mean, we need to get the fee schedule in place and let the team deviate from that as warranted on a case-by-case basis.
Or additional comments?
I do just want to add something that's not in this report because we typically historically do not charge fees for them, is the use of our youth centers. So we have the McCombs Youth Center, the McNamara Youth Center, the 27th and Kayer Central Youth Center, and soon to be Stephen Leonard Youth Center. Those are venues that specifically support nonprofit and direct services to our community. Just wanted that to be noted.
All right. Additional questions, thoughts? Okay. No, I think we're all actually probably more agreement than we say. I think, you know, the co-sponsorship opportunity is important. You know, the fees, obviously we have to have fees. They have to be reasonable. Again, I don't think we can expect to recoup all our costs. But I think this fee schedule as proposed is probably about right. Again, and Chris, if you could address this too, the Bob Hart Square, the points that were made about the Bob Hart Square fee, 125 an hour, you know, you start getting over a couple hours that might start to prohibit use, that argument. Could you address that a little bit?
Yeah.
You know, if we're trying, because obviously we want to encourage.
Absolutely.
That space needs to.
Yeah, so we've had several events and partnerships that we've moved events forward with, including the PBID group, namely the Christmas tree lighting, which used the entire area of Bob Hart Square, and it was beautiful. In conversating with several of the entities that were affiliated with that collaboration, there didn't seem to be that much hesitation to $125 to $150 an hour for that venue, given its amenity, its draw. Depending on what's going on in that facility, it could be a partnership opportunity. If it aligns, it's a recreation facility. If it's doing things that align with our mission goals and objectives, I don't think it's without saying that it could be our purview if we adopt a partnership model or a co-sponsorship model if you wanted to keep that to where that type of use would either have a reduced fee or no fee. It just really depends on what it is that it's being used for. I also want to mention that council has obligated community supporting funds for different initiatives, both direct services, special events, projects in the past. So when we talk about a potential, co-sponsorship fund or a partnership fund through our department, that might be another avenue to consider those applications to be supported through.
Right. Mr. City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm trying really hard not to have this conversation because it gets very convoluted. I know a comment was made, I don't recall which speaker, maybe that the proposed fee might be too high. I think part of the problem we're running into is that the way we've been doing business with other event locations, the costs are just too low. We're using city parking lots and using street closures where in one hand the fee is $35, in the other hand the fee is $50. Those fees are just unrealistic. And we know from the admin reports we provide to you that there's actual other costs that are not being borne for safety, for other things that go on that they're just not being covered. So we're talking about facilities here. We're not talking about street closures or use of city real property, but these all connect, right? I get it. We talked about it before we got here tonight that a smart person would say, well, why would I want to use Bob Hart Square? I'll just reserve a parking lot or do a street closure and do an event there. It's cheaper. Well, I think the problem, as Councilmember Harris has said, is we have to start enforcing our ordinance. The ordinance is pretty clear. The ordinance says you can't do a street closure within 60 days of each other for a certain section. We're way beyond that. We're doing street closures like every other week or more in certain sections. You also can't have them with 800 feet from each other, which we're also not following that. We're doing them like next to each other every other week. So we can certainly enforce the ordinance, which our city attorney has encouraged me that we should enforce the ordinance. That's what we should be doing. So that would basically put the need to follow and have a venue like Bob Hart Square as a good space. Because once we start to follow the requirements of the ordinance, the street closure doesn't become a good alternative because it's just not practical. You basically get down to about 5 or 6 events per year max that you can really do. And we won't even consider parades because that to me is not what this is, but that would be, it dramatically limit that. The other thing we need to look at in terms of the city-owned real property is the policy is really for nonprofits. It's actually been privatized, and so it's for nonprofits, not even for private entities. And so we can have the city attorney look at that. So that would eliminate a lot of use of those facilities as well. So if you strip those back, those facilities go away, then I think that the use of Bob Hart Square at the appropriate fee is very enticing. And so I would encourage you tonight to really consider that. I didn't want to bring these up because it convolutes it all, but the reality is those are too low and they need to be looked at separately, but tonight's not the night for those.
All right, thank you, sir. Councilmember Harris.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't know if you thought about this previously. I just thought about it, but maybe for all venues, a sliding scale based on the amount of time used. So if it's a short-term rental or lease, then it's at a certain rate. If you go to 4 to 5 hours, maybe the rate drops, make it easier.
No, we haven't looked at that model specifically. We do typically have minimum hours for facilities to be rented. To your point, it would, off the cuff, seem to be cheaper. The less amount of time you're using a venue, it actually tends to be more expensive. We have the same overhead, we have the same management costs, we have the same administrative costs to process those applications, whether you're using something for 1 hour or 6 hours. It tends to pan out over time at about 2 to 3 hours, so we usually have a 2-hour minimum rental, which we would want to carry over for Bob Hart Square as well in the plaza. And thinking about how the plaza is utilized is much like the moat that you see here on this last shot. It is in a general open space. So there's other opportunities that Scott mentioned for use of city real property that wouldn't require the use of Bob Hart Square, but the reality is the amenities that exist there just don't exist in the rest of the park, or in this case, Bob Hart Square. So the goal would not be to outprice anyone. It would be to make sure that we're meeting the amenity expectation that people have when they reserve this venue. What we've seen, Joe Herb, that was brought up earlier, is that we undermine our ability to manage these facilities with keeping the costs so low that we can't maintain them. And then what we run into is nobody wants to use them except for illicit purposes. And we really want to make sure that we don't get to that point with this new amenity.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, additional discussion. Discussion or a motion?
Move to approve the fee schedule as presented.
7.
Okay, Councilmember Smith. We have a motion and a second. Pending discussion, Councilmember Smith.
I was about to make the same motion, but I would ask the maker of the motion to consider an amendment to also give staff direction to come back with ideas or proposals for something like a partnership model. so that staff has flexibility on a case-by-case basis to reduce the rate.
I will amend my motion as requested.
Accepted.
Thank you both.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilmember DuPont and a second by Councilmember Harris. The motion will include the adoption of Resolution 2025-75, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Merced, California, approving Parks and Community Services Program and service fees. Mayor and council, please cast your votes. Okay, the motion passes with Mayor Serrato voting no.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you, Council.
Okay, agenda item M, business. M1, request to add item to future agenda.
Okay, items for future agenda. Mayor Pro Tem Boyle.
Nothing tonight.
Councilor DuPont.
Nothing tonight.
Councilor Harris.
Nothing.
Councilor Smith.
Nothing, thank you.
Councilor Tao.
Nothing.
Nothing from me either.
Okay, agenda item M2, city council comments.
All right, starting again on my right, Mayor Pro Tem Boyle.
Not a long list from me, but I just want to say congratulations to Councilmember Tao for being here this evening and welcome to our team.
Thank you.
Councilor DuPont.
Thank you, Mayor. Again, congratulations to Councilmember Tao. Look forward to working with you and look forward to what you can achieve in District 2. Since the last meeting, had a lot of holiday and Christmas events that have been going on. One notable item that I'd like to point out, Buhat Colony had their stadium dedication this past week. On the scoreboard as well as a dedication to Officer Stephon Gray. Just another ability for us to show the life well lived and dedication to the city by Officer Gray. And with that, I wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Councilor Harris.
I want to congratulate you, Councilmember Tao. Also, welcome to our little group. Look forward to working with you. And I want to congratulate Colton Dennis on the California Cultural Districts. There was a great presentation that we did before those board members, and we really, I think, knocked it out of the park. I would have been shocked if we didn't get that award. I tagged along with Councilmember DuPont to Buhat Colony. The next time I go will be to see him sworn in sometime as a Hall of Fame member, as a star quarterback. Not everybody knows that, but now you do. He denies that that he's going to do that, but we'll convince him. You'll go into the Hall of Fame there. And also, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to everybody. Happy holidays.
Councilor Smith.
Thank you. So I did a lot of the same things as my colleagues. Also participated with Mayor Serrato and Mayor Pro Tem Boyle in a couple of meetings as your High-Speed Rail Authority Committee. We'll talk more about that at the special meeting coming up in January. I do want to mention that I attended one of the, what are we calling them? The Maintenance District Fee Ballot Town Hall at Chenoweth Elementary School. There's only one more town hall left, January 7th at Golden Valley High School. I would encourage my colleagues to attend and listen to what constituents are saying about this ballot effort. Other than that, I want to thank and congratulate Councilmember Tao for taking the time to join us. I really look forward to working with you.
All right, Councilor Tao.
Well, thank you, Council. For the last 2 weeks, I have fun with the parade Christmas downtown. I have fun with the Santa ride too. That was fun. So I look forward to that next year again. But other than that, then I'm glad to be here. And I wanted to also remind everybody and also invite everybody this weekend, December 20th and 21st is the Hmong New Year hosted by Merced Lao family. So I want to encourage everybody to come by and enjoy the holidays and the Hmong cultures and the food, the music, and and watch sports. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, welcome to Councilmember Tao. Already hit the ground running. Parade, Vang Pao dinner. Probably been in Operation Santa out there as well too. It's probably been to 5 events or so already. Just in 2025 was like a really big year, a lot of developments, a lot of great things happening in our city. I think 26 will shape up to be a big year as well, too. Just want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Tomorrow, we get a 3-week break, and then January is going to get really busy. If anybody can make it tomorrow, we're going to honor the Merced PAL folks who helped contribute to that, and also 4 high school teams that won section championships. And I think that's about it. Just want to mention a few other events. Operation Santa, again, congratulations, Colton, Gloria, everybody else on the arts and culture recognition, really exciting. And the Christmas parade, if I didn't mention it, also I went to one of those maintenance district meetings too, and definitely important to go out there and make your voice heard. Scott was there, Frank was there as well. I think that's it. Congratulations, Casey, on 2 new fire engines. So that's a big thing, long time coming for that. All right.
Okay, agenda item N, adjournment.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second.
You have a motion by Councilmember Harris and a second by Councilmember DuPont. Mayor and council, please cast your votes. Okay, the motion passes unanimously.